When the crypto crisis hits, and it soon will, the US will be forced to strip away the cloak of anonymity that facilitates criminal acts and which gives crypto its allure. In developing economies, crypto has already become a significant vehicle for avoiding taxes, laundering money, and evading financial regulation. Welcome to the FUD, boys. This is when crypto starts getting attacked from a regulation standpoint by, of course, our nation states. With cryptocurrency prices plummeting as central banks start to raise interest rates, many are wondering if this is the beginning of the end of the bubble. Remember, this has all happened before. It's cyclical, and keep that in mind. All these news articles have been written before. All these opinion pieces have been written before in 2018. All of this has happened before. Perhaps not yet, but a higher opportunity cost of money disproportionately drives down the prices of assets whose main use lie in the future. Ultra low interest rates flattered crypto, and young investors are now getting a taste of what happens when interest rates go up. A more interesting question is what will happen when the governments finally get serious about regulating Bitcoin and its brethren. Of the major economies, only China has so far begun to do so. And China has been completely incapable of doing it per, of course, the hash rate that we saw jump back on the network. It's clear that China is not able to regulate it. Once again, how are the nation states going to rule over 7 billion people participating in a completely new ecosystem? They can't. They have no control over it. It is inevitable. Cryptocurrency is inevitable, and Bitcoin just that much more inevitable. And I highly recommend, of course, taking a look at the sovereign individual to give you an idea of exactly what's going on here. I refer to it as the digital dark age that is coming upon us, and it's going to happen. It's positive in the long run. It's a lot negative in the short term, and it's going to be extremely difficult to get through it. And I understand that for everyone, especially as miners, when we start seeing these revenues drop, prices go up, it gets rough, right? Most policymakers have instead tried to change the topic by talking about central bank issued digital currencies, but this is something of a non sequitur. Although CBDCs are likely to include privacy features for small transactions, larger transactions will almost certainly require individuals to reveal their identity. Once again, we are pro-cryptocurrency, anti-CBDC on this channel. In contrast, one of the biggest attractions of private cryptocurrencies is the opportunity they offer to bypass governments. True cryptocurrency transactions are completely traceable through the blockchain ledger, but users typically set up accounts under pseudonyms and are therefore difficult to identify without other information, which is expensive to obtain. Some economists naively argue that there is no particular urgency to regulate Bitcoin and the like because cryptocurrencies are difficult and costly to use for transactions. Try telling that to policymakers in developing economies where crypto has become a significant vehicle for avoiding taxes, regulations, and capital controls. The dissolution of the nation state. Digital dark age. For poorer countries with limited state capacity, crypto is a growing problem. Citizens don't need to be computer whizzes to circumvent the authorities. They can just access one of the several simple off-chain exchanges. Although cryptocurrency transactions intermediated by a third party are in principle traceable, the exchanges are based in advanced economies. In practice, this makes the information virtually inaccessible to poor country authorities under most circumstances. But this isn't just crypto fulfilling its promise of helping citizens bypass corrupt, inefficient, and untrustworthy governments. Maybe, but just like a $100 bill, cryptocurrencies in the developing world are as likely to be used by malign actors as by ordinary citizens. You do not punish the masses because of the actions of a few. This is one thing that we keep getting into that is extremely frustrating, and I highly recommend reading up on positive versus negative rights and understanding the difference, and understand that powering the individual is the only way in humanity that we successfully move forward together. That doesn't mean that you become some individualistic psychopath, even though obviously that's what a lot of the Bitcoin maxis are referred to as. It means that you actually still do have that compassion for your fellow human being. You want them to have access and the ability to participate within economies just like you do. regardless of if they are in El Salvador, Venezuela, the United States, Russia, Ukraine, whatever it may be, it is important for that individual to have that power, because if you empower individuals, you prevent corrupt governments from manipulating them into oppressing others that are nearby. Case in point would be something like the Russian-Ukraine situation. They do go on to say that, for example, Venezuela is a major player in crypto markets, partly because the use of them to send money back and forth without being seized by the country's corrupt regime. Case in point, right? But crypto is also surely used by the Venezuelan military in its drug smuggling operations, not to mention by wealthy, politically connected individuals subject to financial sanctions. Once again, my personal opinion is I'm against sanctions surrounding cryptocurrency, and they have no place within cryptocurrency. And basically punishing the individual for the actions of the people that control and oppress them is nonsense. Given that the United States currently maintains financial sanctions on more than a dozen countries, hundreds of entities, and thousands of individuals, crypto is a natural refuge. One reason why advanced economy regulators have been slow to act is the view that as long as cryptocurrency related problems mainly affect the rest of the world, these problems are not their concern. Apparently buying into that idea that cryptocurrencies are essentially assets in which to invest and that any transaction value is unimportant, the regulators are more worried about domestic investor protection and financial stability. This is the difference between the way a third world country with oppressed people view cryptocurrency and the United States, which is a first world country, views, of course, cryptocurrency. We've talked about this before. The problem with cryptocurrency in the US and its perception is number go up. Everybody in the US is purchasing cryptocurrency for this kind of hope that they increase their economic and social position. And that is not what cryptocurrency is here to enable. Cryptocurrency is here to enable the sovereignty of the individual to transact without the interference of governments or banks. It is more realized, the true purpose of cryptocurrency is more realized in third world countries than it is in first world countries. And don't worry though, it's inevitable that it'll be realized here as well. It's just, let's stay focused once again. Even through the bull run, I was trying to bring you guys back to these subjects. Maybe now with the bear market, you start to see that it's still very relevant and the price of it doesn't matter as much because what it does and what it stands for is the thing that matters. But economic theory has long demonstrated that the value of any money ultimately depends on its potential underlying uses. The biggest investors in crypto may be in advanced economies, but the uses and harms have so far been mainly in emerging markets and developing economies. One might even argue that investing in some advanced economy crypto vehicles is in a sense no different from investing in conflict diamonds. I highly disagree with that. Advanced economy governments will most likely find that problems with cryptocurrencies eventually come home to roost. When that happens, they will be forced to institute a broad-based ban on digital currencies that do not permit user identities to be easily traced, unless, that is, technological advances ultimately strip away all vestiges of anonymity, in which case cryptocurrency prices will collapse on their own. The ban would certainly have to extend to financial institutions and businesses and would likely also include some restrictions on individuals. The thing is once again, it's going to be extremely hard to regulate that sort of thing. I just don't see it as being possible. And crypto has obviously onboarded a ton of people here in recent times. And I think it's something that the nation states have been trying to participate within. And once again, we go back to that idea of the Trojan horse, especially with the relation to first world countries like the United States. Number go up. It's too much of an enticing investment and an offset investment that a lot of these companies are getting into, even the ones that are so deeply ingrained in traditional finance outside of a few of them, that you end up being in a position where they dump a bunch of money into it and all they're doing is kind of basically enabling their own demise, funny enough. Such a step would sharply undercut today's cryptocurrency prices by reducing liquidity. Of course, restrictions will be more effective the more countries apply them, but universal implementation is not required for a significant local impact. Can some version of a ban be implemented? As China has demonstrated, it is relatively easy to shutter the crypto exchanges that the vast majority of people use for trading digital currencies, and then they hop onto a VPN and continue to participate regardless of what the government says. That's what we saw. It is more difficult to prevent on-chain transactions as the underlying individuals are harder to identify. It's also this: the more you oppress the people, the less likely they are to adhere to whatever rules and regulations you put into place. The higher you pump the gas prices, the higher the food goes. The more the people are oppressed, the less likely they are to listen to you when you tell them to do something. Right? Ironically, an effective ban on 21st century crypto might also require phasing out or at least scaling back the much older device of paper currency, because cash is by far the most convenient way for people to on-ramp funds into their digital wallets without being easily detected. And that's a good point. We're setting up all this FUD surrounding cryptocurrency, and then we are looking at creating central bank digital currencies. And that is a way to gain more control over the public, control the people's healthcare first, then you control their money, and you control the population. This is the way it goes. Unless you fight and decide to say, hey, I'm not going to listen to those rules anymore, right? Guess what? I don't have to play by your rules. We can start making up our own rules, buddy. Just to be clear, I'm not suggesting that all blockchain applications should be constrained. For example, regulated stablecoins underpinned by a central bank balance sheet can still thrive, but there needs to be a straightforward legal mechanism for tracing a user's identity if needed. No, there doesn't. No, there doesn't, sir. Good sir, I disagree. In fact, this is an argument that's been going on since the mid-90s, and it started with the internet and the ability for users to send communication back and forth without, others popping in and taking a look at it. Unfortunately, we lost that battle. There is potential that we lose this battle as well. And it terrifies me. It really does. When, if ever, might stiffer crypto regulation actually happen? Absent a crisis, it could take many decades, especially with major crypto players pouring huge sums into lobbying, much as the financial sector did in the run-up to the 2008 global financial crisis. Oh, they're trying to say that's going to... No, that's going to happen on its own again, right? We're already seeing it with the 2008 crisis, similar reactions in traditional markets, but it probably won't take nearly that long. Unfortunately, the crypto crisis is likely to come sooner rather than later. Once again, one of the important parts, and I think this is a valid point that he brings up, is that because we are moving into basically the digital age, what we are seeing is a great acceleration in the changing of the guard, right? So what I mean by that, especially when we're talking about different revolutions, right? Like the agricultural, the industrial age, all that sort of stuff. Previously, without digital access and so on, these types of transformations took, centuries. However, when we're talking about the digital transformation, this is something that will happen within your lifetime. And I mean, if you're a millennial, for sure within your lifetime, we will see these changes. We will see what I refer to as the digital dark age, but I don't necessarily consider that to be a negative thing. We can go into my theory on that maybe in a different video. If you're interested, let me know. But what we're going to see is this transformation fully into the digital age, and the financial portion is the last piece of that puzzle, right? And that financial portion is going to be very significant in what happens. And depending on how the populations react to it, the 7 billion people react to it and say how they want it to be done, that will basically determine the future. We will either be in some sort of crazy oligarchical run fascist state, to be frank, right? That is governed by a group of people that control the currency on a digital level with a CBDC, or you will have a free and open economy globally that will be controlled by the individual, every individual in existence. And it's up to you how you decide to participate within that. But this is the crossroads we're at. It's inevitable that one or the other happens. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Morning Show every Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Pacific and 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time. You can check out more clips here, or if you're interested in checking out the entire live show, you can check that out down here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.